Hi guys, my name is Michael. I am 8 years old, and today you are going to learn about James Oglethorpe. James Oglethorpe, now you probably know him as the man who established Georgia, and you would be correct. But let me tell you, there is a lot that happened in James Oglethorpe's life, and today we are going to talk about it. All right. Now, you see, the reason why he founded Georgia is because his best friend, Robert Castell, had died in a debtor's prison. For those of you who might not know what a debtor or even a debtor's prison is, a debtor's prison is like a prison for someone who owed money and couldn't pay it. And let me tell you, conditions were horrible over there. You had to pay for a good room in a cell. And Robert Castell didn't have a lot of money. So he ended up in the worst room with this very, very sick prisoner. And soon he caught the cold and died too. Now we're not sure what type of disease/cold he might have gotten, but I sure don't want to find out. So James Oglethorpe, after that, he was so heartbroken. And then he started to look at England a little differently. He noticed the poor, they couldn't get richer. They stayed poor, and their children stayed poor, and those children stayed poor. It was horrible. So what James Oglethorpe did next was a leap of faith. He went to ask permission to establish Georgia. He asked King George II, not the third. We aren't quite there yet. So he asked the King George II to grant him permission to establish land in Georgia. He made a good point for the king because, you see, Georgia at that time was flourishing in the New World with all this cotton and all this resource. Hey, I've been to Savannah, and its nickname is the Cotton King. And if you know about the South, you'll know their number one resource was cotton. And, well, now that I might have you thinking about enslaved people, well, here's a good thing. He didn't like to have enslaved people in the colony. He gave enslaved people a new chance at life. So, he did not believe in that. He believed that they should have a new chance in life, that debtors should have a new chance in life, that the poor should have a new chance in life. King George finally granted him permission after he made his statement that Georgia could be a good buffer zone so they could protect all that cotton from the Spanish occupying Florida from where I live. And no, I am not Spanish though. You see, he picked out 12 trustees. So the 12 trustees were people who were interviewing people to go to the New World colony. They needed people like blacksmiths, carpenters, doctors, lumberjacks, stuff like that, you know. So people chosen to start the colony were given 1 acre of land per family for a little workspace and a little cottage so they could survive out there. Now remember, there was also Indians, but we'll come back to that later. Now, people chosen to start the colony had to be interviewed by the trustees. Just to go over this one more time before we move on, so you don't forget this. Alright, now remember when I said there were Indians there? Tamachichi, the Indian chief, was good friends with James Oglethorpe. So they were friends. Which, that really stuck out to me. Because you know America has a history with fighting a lot of Indians. Thankfully that's over. They were to pursue peace again and bring the tribes closer with the colony. And when Tamachichi died at 100 years old, everything still worked good around the colony. But when James Oglethorpe died at the age of 88, that's when things began to crumble. People started to drink a little more. Slaves were engaged because the trustees, without James Oglethorpe, forgot everything. But good news, I've been to Savannah, like I said, and their graves, Tamachichi and James Oglethorpe, are buried just like 10 feet away. Tamachichi, I believe, was buried under a boulder, and then James Oglethorpe was buried with another guy. I can't remember. He worked on the railroad. I can't remember that. That's for a different episode. Fun fact of the day before we close up. James Oglethorpe was actually a British soldier, and he was a member of Parliament. For those of you who do not know what Parliament is a powerful group of people that, well, were kind of like the government. You know, they were kind of like Congress to England. And now for quote this is from James Oglethorpe. If we allow slaves, we act against the very principles by which we associated together, which was to relieve the distressed. So you can tell he was a pretty good guy. Alright guys, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can see all of the cool videos we've made on Wafers 101. And now you can get to see some cool major events that happen in this lifetime.